Emotional safety is my number one priority for myself. And doing that after betrayal, let me tell you, that is work. And especially after, being awakened and knowing who you are, from going to an anxious attachment style to a secure attachment style. That anxious attachment style, I tried to come out for a long time. And where that used to be my immediate reaction is, oh, he hurt me, or I can't feel emotionally safe. This is doing the deep work of asking, why do you feel unsafe in this? Is it something that, are you looking for a reason to not feel safe for a long time, especially with that anxious attachment style? It's almost like you're always looking for a reason that they're going to abandon you. And then it got to the point of really just asking myself, like, for a long time, going into that secure attachment style, it was like, okay, this doesn't make me feel safe. So I communicate all of those things to him because, that in that moment was making me feel a certain way. And then it got to the point where when you become secure and you just ask, like, why does this not make me feel safe? And then when you really think on that and think about, okay, this maybe made me feel unsafe before, but learning the people that we are and doing the deep work, then you have to say, is it something in myself? Is it something because for so long I didn't feel like I wasn't enough. And then when I, realized who I was awakened and realized who I am, that, I am creator, I am source, that, you can choose what and let go of things. And there were a lot of things I had to let go of. And now it's, just communication and setting clear boundaries. Man, sometimes I gotta say, men are idiots. They're not all, but, my husband is a brilliant man, but when it comes to emotions, he's not always so smart. So just setting clear boundaries where you have to realize too, is that, first of all, we can't read each other's minds, because for so long, there were times where I wanted to, him to, make me feel safe. And for so long, I depended on him for my safety. And now I have that safety in myself. But when you are awakened and you know who you are, you also will not compromise that. Even for my husband, who we've been married for 18 years. And yes, there was betrayal. And yes, we did almost get divorced. And then when you decide to be together, and we did a lot of work, separately, but when you decide to then work it out and to be together, then it's not just going to be all perfect right away. You have a lot of stuff that you have to work through. And especially before, being the anxious attachment style and not being awakened and keeping all those things inside and not knowing what emotional safety felt like. There's very few times in my life before this that I felt emotionally safe. And now that I'm awakened and I know who I am, I can really think about, it's not an automatic, because before, things that didn't make me safe were automatic things that, oh, this doesn't make me safe, but it was because of a belief system that I had, that I grew up in, and then letting go of so much of that. And now it's really asking myself those questions, like, does this make me feel unsafe because this is out of alignment with me? And that's the question now. Not is it a belief that I have, like, oh, this is wrong. So this is, okay, the truth from my husband is a stripper. So somebody who is married to a stripper, who went through betrayal, who went through, he was addicted to porn for a long time, which led to the betrayal, which led to other things, which actually led to him being in prison for a couple of years. And all of that, where instead of, for so long, it was just me blaming him and not being able to see so much of him, and now realizing that has so much to do with, trauma from his childhood and his attachment style and things like that I never understood before. But now that I can understand that, I can understand where he's coming from, and what led that to all of those actions. So I had to ask myself, like, is it something because of the past, of who he was in the past, or in the right now? Like, I feel very safe and secure with him, and our life is it really is, it's truly abundant. We are absolutely in love with each other. But I also have triggers. So it's asking myself, is this trigger, is it validated? Is it something to do with me, or it's something to do with him? And something that might not mean anything to him might mean something to me. Because of our attachment styles, I become emotionally attached, where I'm not going to say that he's not connected to his emotions, but he processes things differently. So asking myself, okay, am I okay to feel safe in this? Or, is this something I even have to talk to him about it? And getting real and deep with yourself. And then too is when you are awake and like, hey, yes, this aligns with me and this does not align with me. And then knowing that your safety is in yourself, and you trust yourself more than anything in the world. And yes, I trust him, but I also trust that I have to be true to myself, because I'm not lying to anyone or lying to myself ever again, because I wore a mask and I feel like I lived in a bit of a lie my whole life, and I'm not doing that anymore. So even knowing that we've been married for 18 years, and yes, we are committed to each other now, and I 100% believe that we will be together for the rest of our lives. And I wake up every day in absolutely love and abundance and gratitude for him. But that doesn't mean that everything is always perfect. But that's what I'm saying, is like, when you become authentically yourself and you know who you are and you trust yourself and your safety is in yourself, that's above anything else. And that doesn't mean that I don't love my kids and I don't love my husband with all of my heart, but I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to lie to myself for them. So it's having those tough conversations with your significant other, or even your children, things like that. Like, this is my truth. This is how I feel emotionally about it. And this is what is in alignment with me. What doesn't make me feel at peace, or what does make me feel at peace. And knowing that he has different attachment styles, attachment style than me, and also knowing, like, I feel he's very secure in some things, and I'm very secure in some things. I would say in most things, because now, like, once you know, You know what I'm talking about. So just working with that and the patience of it all, and having, even though I know that these conversations that I'm having with him are not easy for him and that they might even push him away, but still having them anyway, because again, I said, I'm not going to lie to myself. This is my truth. And I'm not going to, if I'm going to be in a relationship with somebody, I only want their authentic self. I don't want them to put on a mask for me. I can only be my authentic self anymore. And my authentic self is somebody I absolutely love. And it's, yes, I love the shit out of him, but it doesn't mean it's not scary. It's very scary, especially when, you know, that his attachment style might not be as secure as mine. And I'm not saying he's not secure. I think he's very secure in some things. I think he's insecure in other things. And having those open, honest conversations, even though that they might push you away, and that's, or them away, and that's the last thing you want to do. I've had a lot of open, honest conversations in my life, and I lost a ton of people. And then when you have, you know, your children, but that is different than your partner in life, because your partner in life is, and yes, your kids are forever and things like that, but your partner in life is who you're going through life with. And to know, like, hey, this might upset him, this might not resonate with him, he might not understand this, but still having those conversations anyway, because you know that's something that you need, and you're comfortable expressing your needs and your desires and your thoughts and all of that, because you just know. And once you know, you know. Yeah, so there was something I was going to say about him being a stripper, but I'm just saying, like, this is also, like, everything that I've been through with him, all of the betrayal, all of the hurt, all of the pain, it has all prepared me to be able to do the work that I'm doing right now, because it's not something that I've read in the book. It's something that, you know, it's constant recalibration. And before it was always, and it still is, you're always elevating, you're always learning, growing, or I am. So there is a factor to it. Once you know, you know, and once you realize that you are not, you know, that the universe, God, is a mirror. You are source experiencing itself, so that you are source. It's all connected. We're all connected. And once you know that, it's just, there's a knowing that you can't describe until you do know. But even with that, that doesn't mean that we are still not having a human experience. And this human is not really who I am, but this is the experience I'm having right now, and navigating all of that and realizing, like, yes, I do know it's all going to be okay, but also seeing, like, how much of it has been so incredibly hurtful. And I feel like my heart and my nervous system have been through the ringers of life. But also without that, I wouldn't be able to stand this secure in who I am and being okay just being me. And for the most part, because once you know, like, my life is incredibly abundant, and I do live in gratitude all of the time. Most of the time. I do feel like that is my natural state now, and I am so blessed. I'm so in love with life. I'm so in love with the people in my life. So this is just me, you know, being vulnerable with the world, saying it's okay, because I'm okay saying I am somebody who teaches Christ consciousness. I am someone who teaches the I am, because I am the I am, and you are as well. And also saying I'm living in that, and at the same time having this human experience. And with going through, yes, all of the betrayal. And like 2 years ago, do you think I would never, ever, see, that's what I'm talking about. 2 years ago, I never, ever would have felt emotionally safe with my husband being a stripper. Or even going on here and saying, yes, I'm teaching Christ consciousness and the I am, and conscious living, and nervous system regulation, and emotional intelligence, and not living, you know, training your subconscious mind, and all of the things. And still saying, yep, my husband is a stripper. And I'm so proud of him, and I love him, and I adore him, and all of the things. Like, I know that there's going to be a lot of people that will say, I can't let her be my coach. I can't be taught by her because she lets her husband strip. It's not about letting him. It's about seeing who he is and seeing where that intention comes from. What are your intentions in it? And what his heart is, and what his soul is, and what his mind is, and where his strengths are, and what his beliefs are, and knowing him and being absolutely supportive of him. And then also being real, like, hey, these are some of the things because of our past and growing up in a cult. We were both raised in a cult, and escaping them, and then, you know, almost getting divorced, to staying together, and then being awakened and going through all of the self-development work. That most of the time it is perfect, but that doesn't mean that. And this is a part of it all. It's all that journey, because so many people are waiting for an end destination. And I used to, you know, when he would make me feel emotionally unsafe, or, you know, or made me feel some sort of a way, it would all, you know, just like, oh, I can't be safe with him right away. And now it's like, I know I can be safe with him. I am safe with him. So instead of my mind going continuously, it was one, you know, little thing that happened that made me feel a sort of way. And it just, anything that made me feel any sort of way, I had to become in alignment with it right away, and I had to feel at peace with it right away, and all of that. And that was having those hard conversations. But now it's being able to also say, like, that doesn't mean I can't feel safe with him. That doesn't mean that all the other aspects of our life that are so incredibly beautiful disappear. And I've always told him that, and I've always felt that. It was just because I had acknowledged that. But mostly for me personally, it was, you know, I had to tell him so he knew, so we could set boundaries and all of that, which we've gotten pretty good at, and I've gotten pretty good at setting very clear boundaries, which he, you know, his personality needs those clear boundaries. But now, you know, knowing that, okay, even if something in a moment made me feel, you know, not emotionally safe in a moment, doesn't mean that I'm not safe with him. So now I don't go back, because for a long time I'm like, okay, it took a lot, so much it took a lot of him jumping through a lot of hoops to make me finally say, okay, I'm letting my guard down. I'm going to be safe with you. I'm going to let my guard down. And it was such a big, huge, enormous step for me to say that. And so the moment something happened that made me, just feel a little bit, did a trigger for me. It was a trigger for me. And it wasn't even anything that in that moment that he was probably doing wrong. There's some things that, because I didn't have clear boundaries set that, maybe he crossed boundaries or whatever. And I'm not going to go into all of that because I had so many trigger songs. Any little song, if you listen to a song that was a trigger for me, and he didn't even know it was a trigger for me, but I was upset then. It's like how, he can't read your mind. But that's how huge this transformation has been. It's not that, and I would, shut off from him because then I didn't feel safe. And it made me feel a certain way or whatever. So then every time, it'd be like, okay, make me feel safe again. I can't be safe with him. And then going back and forth, because for a long time I knew I didn't really feel that way. But then when I finally let that guard down, and then any tiny little thing, it'd be like, oh, I can't be safe with him. And I felt like it was just bouncing back and forth. I can feel safe. I can't. And now it's solid knowing that I absolutely can. And even if a trigger comes up, which they don't come up very often anymore because I am so safe and secure in our relationship and believe in it. But all right, I totally lost track of where I was because he just walked up on me while I was doing that video, which is fine. And this is after just a weekend where, we did have a little bit, it was not even a big deal, but it's something because we are so emotionally different, something that can be a big deal to me, or I make a big deal just because it's still, as much as I'm secure and safe in myself and in us, it's still, when things hit, it's still hard for me sometimes to not dwell on. So it's almost like I needed a calibration again. It's so hard not to focus on the negative, not to focus on how that made you feel. But then it's going deeper and asking yourself, why did it make me feel this way? Is it something that had to do with me? Something where, a limiting belief that I had about myself in the past, which I know no longer rings true for me, because limiting beliefs are just limiting beliefs. I'm unlimited. I'm absolutely unlimited. So asking yourself those questions, and then asking, I think I already said this, maybe I'm babbling on, but is it something that about him, maybe a limiting belief he has about himself, or something that he's, because he hasn't done all the, the conscious and subconscious work, and he has done a ton of work, so much work. He's not we are both not the same people that we were 5 years ago. Even we've both done so much work on ourselves, but it's also been, a little bit different. But so is it a limiting belief that he has, or something that he's doing subconsciously? And that's even a conversation I had to him about, just him, conscious living, and where I can't push this stuff on him because you can't push anything on until they're open to receiving. And so it's just living by an example, and, knowing his intentions. So much of his day is spent just trying to make me and the kids happy. And I was telling him, you don't have to make us happy, but also just not even making us happy, but just taking care of us physically. He cooks for us all the time. He cleans a lot. He, he's amazing with our kids. He's better with our kids on so many levels than I am. But for me, more than anything, I want to make sure my kids feel emotionally safe, because I never had that emotional safety for so much of my life. I think the first time I really felt it was, probably when I was dating Tom, true emotional safety. But that's my priority with him. Anyway, this video was not, I think I'm getting so off track right now, but it's just to say that, things aren't always easy, but once you become, consciously aware, and you know who you are, and you realize that you are source, experience in itself, and then life does really get easier, and so much more joyful and beautiful and abundant, and all the things. And that's the thing, is that stuff will just be attracted back to you. And then also, again, you can release and let go of what doesn't serve you and what doesn't align with you and what doesn't bring you peace and all of those things. And while it can be draining, because, like I said, after something like this happens, which it doesn't happen very often, and a lot of it is more so, recalibrating myself. And yes, I know who I am, but that nervous system is still real. I'm still human, and I'm still experiencing this life in a human body with emotions, with a nervous system, and all of that. So just being patient with yourself and taking that silence and that little bit of, recalibration, rather than just letting, for so long, I let just my emotions control me. I would feel a certain way, and that was it. That was and I would wear my emotions on my sleeve. And then for a while, I learned not to do it around other people, but always, and I always thought that was such a good thing, for my husband, because, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Yep, you don't have to guess who I am. You can know, because I wanted to share that with him. And, I'm definitely not going to get into all of that right now. But this is just a real life experience, especially as a coach. I want you guys to know that it doesn't mean that we have it all figured out all the time. We might have, a lot of the answers, or know how to point you in the direction, and have been through things, and, we've lived it and learned it and things like that. So we can definitely, help you, because that's what we're here to do. This is my calling in life. And that's why all of these things, this is what makes me so qualified, is because I've been through it all, and I've learned how to choose what's for me and not wear a mask anymore, and to take care of myself first and foremost. And that is not selfish, because I guarantee you, the better I take care of myself, the better, so much fucking better I am for everybody around me. And I gave myself that excuse for so fucking long. So long. I was too busy taking care of everybody else. I didn't have time to take care of me. And I take care of everybody else way better now that I take care of myself first. Because how many people say it? Like, if the woman of the family, if the mother, if the mom, if the wife is doing good, if she feels safe, if she feels loved, if she feels secure, man, that whole house will just click. Things will flow. Life is better. That's how high of a priority my emotional safety is. I will not sacrifice it for anything. And that's not, the biggest thing is not putting my emotional safety in somebody else's hands and not relying on my husband or my kids or my family or anybody to make me feel emotionally safe. And that's where all the answers are. This is what it's always, all of the work is always going to come back to you. All of the answers, if you want to feel respected, you have to respect yourself first. If you want to feel loved, if you want to feel safe, if you want to feel secure, if you want to feel protected, if you want to feel confident, if you want to feel anything, if you are looking outside of yourself, if you're looking for somebody else to fulfill that for you, it's never going to happen. And yes, right now, like, that's where I had to, this is me fulfilling my emotional safety. I need to fulfill it myself and not rely on my husband to feel it for me. But that means protecting it and telling him and being honest with him with anything that does not make me feel emotionally secure. But it's also getting to the point where you're not like, oh, this makes me feel emotionally insecure, not safe, anything like that, and just blaming him right away. Then asking yourself those deep questions, because I think that's where a lot of people stop. They stop right there. They say, this person made me feel this way. This person, doesn't bring me peace. This person, takes too much of my energy. This person did it, and they let them go and they walk away. And they say, oh, I did everything I could do. Did you ask yourself those questions? Were you secure in yourself? Were you protecting your security? And then not saying, okay, well, he made me feel insecure. They made me feel, this sort of way. Asking yourself then, am I giving my security away? Am I giving my safety away? Because once you become safe in yourself, yes, there are definitely things that you have to let go of, and people and a lot of stuff I had to let go of. But in a situation like this, it's not just, it's asking myself why. And then when you know it's something that does not align with you, then you have those tough conversations and you protect it and say, okay, this made me feel a certain way. But before you go blaming, you get deep enough with yourself and asking yourself, is it a limiting belief I have? Is it something about myself, before something I need to heal inside of myself, or I need to consciously look at about inside of myself rather than blaming it on somebody else? Your confidence has to do with you. Are you keeping the promises you make yourself? Things like that. Like I said, all of the safety, all of the love, you have to love yourself. All the answers are inside yourself. And then that's when you do that, that'll be attracted back to you. And that is what your life will become. And that's what you'll accept. But it all starts with you. Always with you. Anyway, I've been babbling on for a while, 25 minutes. So sending love. And again, this is just me being vulnerable, saying, yes, you'll see my other videos where the actual work is and all of that. But that doesn't mean that our lives are perfect and we don't have stuff that comes up, but we've learned to process it and not bring us down, because it used to bring me down and just in bed and depressed and want to curl in a ball and sleeping in the corner of my closet and just crying or not crying and just holding it all in and turning into anger and turning into resentment and turning into I'm alone. Nobody understands me. Nobody gets me. The life isn't fair, and just woe and this and this and this and over again, where something had to change. And now knowing that I never have to go sleep in the corner of my closet again. I never have to go hug my wall again. I never have to spend days bawling my eyes out because I don't understand, or because I put it somewhere else other than me. Why isn't this person satisfying this for me? Why did this person hurt me? Why are they doing this to me? Why don't they understand? Once you understand yourself and know who you are and bring it all in, it will all come. That's a test. Can you do that work in yourself? And it doesn't always have to be so many people are spending their whole adult lives healing. It is work, because I'm still calibrating, I'm still rising, I'm still elevating. So, but it can be also, it doesn't always have to be work. It can be, this is who I am, and this is what I'm trusting, and this is what I'm knowing. I'm not gonna ever abandon myself. Anyway, I'll stop talking. I love you guys. Good day.